Good morning and welcome. I apologize for the late start this morning, but we had a meeting prior to this one. So at this time, I call to order Muskogee Creek National Council pre-agenda June 26, 2021. Time is 9:39. This time, I'd like to ask Representative Lucian Tiger to do the invocation, please.
Our Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day. Please be with us as elected officials going forward as we make tough decisions for our nation. And Lord Jesus, just please be with us and guide us and take care of those of our families that have lost loved ones due to the virus that's still active, still ongoing. Just please be with all of the families. Keep your guiding hand upon them, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Representative Tiger. Roll call, Legislative Clerk Tracy Wade.
Speaker Randall Hicks.
Present.
Mary Crawford.
Present.
Joyce Deere.
Present.
Patrick Freeman.
Here.
Joseph Hicks.
Here.
Robert Huff.
Present.
James Jennings.
Here.
Adam Jones.
Here.
William Lowe.
Here.
Anna Marshall.
Present.
Charles McHenry.
Here.
Thomasina Hall Osborne.
Present.
Gerald Proctor.
Here.
Mark Randolph.
Present.
Speaker, you have 14 present and 0 absent.
14 present and 0 absent constitutes a quorum. All business conducted will be official. Agenda review, health, education, and welfare. Chairman Lucian Tiger III.
Thank you, Speaker. Health, education, and welfare met prior to pre-agenda. And the following items came out of committee with a due pass: TR 21-102, NCA 21-071, NCA 21-077. I'd like to ask that those be added to the regular session agenda in numerical order, please. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Land, Natural Resources, and Cultural Preservation. Chairman Mark Randolph.
No, Speaker, we have no additions.
Thank you, Chairman Randolph. Business, Finance, and Justice. Chairman William Lowe.
No, Speaker, we have no additions.
Thank you, Chairman Lowe. Next item on the agenda is other business. We have nominee interviews. Ms. Kayla Harjo. Ms. Kayla Harjo, if you would, come down to the podium, ma'am. Ms. Harjo is interviewing for the Secretary of Education, Employment, and Training. Good morning, Ms. Harjo. Ms. Harjo, there's a button on there. Should be a green light come.
Push it.
There it is.
There we go. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, Council Representatives.
Harjo, at this time, would you please share with the National Council your education background and experience for this position, please?
Yes, sir. So my name is Kayla Harjo. I am of the Woodco clan, and my tribal town is Taplaco. My husband, Dustin, and I reside in Muskogee with our 4 children: Kaylee, who is 20, Yancey, who is 15, Prince Elias, who is 8, and Ozana Cree, who is 4. As a young 14-year-old mom, I sat in Chanina Davis's office and thought to myself that one day I could do what she is doing, helping our Native people. From that day, I knew that I needed to dedicate my hard work and my heart work to ensuring that our Native students had every opportunity afforded to them. Today, I'm truly honored to stand here before you. I'm honored, I'm humbled to be up for the confirmation of the Secretary of Education and Training Employment, the employment and training position. As I stand before you, you are looking at a representation of what this great nation has produced. I started my education as a 4-year-old within the Sapulpa Indian Head Start program. As I matriculated through the Sapulpa public school system, I was involved in the JOM program, the Indian Education program, and then once my duties were complete within that high school program, I transitioned into post-secondary education. I utilized the funds provided by the Great Muskogee Creek Nation to help me break a cycle that was meant to break a young teen mom like myself. At the age of 4 is when I entered into that program. I learned about the language, I learned about who I was, identify, and I could relate to the staff within that Head Start program. As I matriculated through the rest of my public schooling, I had noticed that there was no representation of our culture, of our language, and no cultural awareness or diversity within that faculty and staff. That is when I also knew that I was going to one day come back and make sure that all of those programs and pieces of who we are were implemented into our education systems. My higher education started in 2001 when I attended Bacone College on a softball scholarship. After 3 long years, I had learned to become not only a mother, but also a student athlete. And then 3 years later, I received my associate's degree in liberal arts. From Bacone College, I transitioned into Northeastern State University, where I received both of my bachelor's degree in elementary education and my master's degree in higher education leadership. Today, I currently attend St. Edward's University, located in Austin, Texas, pursuing a doctorate of education in leadership and higher education. I have over 10 years of experience within the elementary school system. I have worked as a Title VII tutor, a JOM coordinator, and as a reading sufficiency tutor. In addition, for the last 5 years, my passion has lied within the higher education system. Excuse me. While in higher education, I have held the titles of a college recruiter, a director of admissions and recruitment, and a vice president of student affairs. I currently serve as the executive director of the Harjo Education Foundation, as well as a co-owner. The nonprofit is set up to provide educational opportunities and promote higher education with our Native communities, as well as provide financial aid assistance for those students who may be in need. As we all know, as we journey through our higher education journeys, financial burdens often contribute to our dropout rates. Wondering why we can't complete those education programs is directly related to finances, always. In 2018, I returned to Bacone College after they had prematurely announced a closure. I came back into an institution that was once given me an opportunity, that once enrolled 800 plus students, and now they roughly hold 270 students in the fall of 2018. I transitioned into my administrative position as Vice President of Student Affairs so that I could implement and design a strategic plan that not only affects the enrollment portion of Bacone, but as well as the recruitment piece. To understand our students, we have to go out, we have to be within the Native communities, we have to be present. Under my leadership while at Bacone College, from the time I took over enrollment management from 2018 to 2019, we were tasked with increasing the overall enrollment as well as the American Indian student population that was currently represented at 29%. A brief thing about Bacone is, as they were trying to find that sustainability, they were looking to transition from a private institution to a tribal college institution in hopes that that funding would provide sustainability. With a crew of 2, myself and my contracted recruiter, we hit the roads. We were out there within the communities. We were out there meeting their parents, meeting their aunties and their uncles, and letting them know that if they were to trust us with their students, that we would promise that they would be taken care of and be provided an education. From that moment, when we led into the fall of 2020, not only under my leadership did we increase the enrollment, but we increased our American Indian enrollment to 65%. It was such a large increase that the AHEC, the American Indian Higher Education Consortium, came in and said, "That's such a large increase. Show us your files. We understand that you have to be compliant within the AHEC, and there's certain policies and procedures that have to be followed in order to obtain that tribal college piece." Throughout my journey as to going back out into the communities, I had realized that not only are we building and establishing new relationships, but we are rebuilding old relationships that may not have once believed in education. Not only was I an essential piece in that increase of the student enrollment, but I also played a vital role in changing that campus community culture. I advocated for not only the students, the staff, but I also went ahead and made sure that our dormitories received the rehabilitations that they needed. The dilapidated structures needed to be updated so that our Native students could feel comfortable. As the Vice President of Student Affairs, I was over 10 separate departments within the institution. I was over the admissions, the enrollment, the financial aid, the federal work study program, the student engagement, the student life, the bookstore, even down to facilities and maintenance. I would never ask any of my staff members to do anything that I wouldn't do. I've laid tile with my staff. I've painted walls with my staff. I've held a weed eater with my staff, because I truly believe that when you believe in a mission and you want to leave something better than you left it, you give it everything that you have. I believe that as a great leader, not only are you leading those around you, but you are also making sure that you're teaching them how to be a future learner. You're inspiring them to continue to be a lifelong learner, so that way that they can come back and take your positions and lead the next generation into the future. My leadership style is simple. I'm an authentic and I'm a realistic. I believe that if you're authentic with your staff, they truly buy into your mission and what you're doing. And being realistic means that as we go through the programs under the Secretary of Education and Employment and Training, we have to be realistic with the goals that we're going to set to move it forward. You can never grow programs way too fast, because when you grow programs too fast, you create more chaos than anything. I truly believe that as a leader, I can inspire people and I can motivate people. I believe that by inspiring them, it brings organizations that impact and that change that they've been missing. My style influences positive morale, less conflict resolution, and it fosters relationships with your staff. Becoming empathetic with your staff and your surroundings, it builds that relationship piece with them. It builds that trustworthy relationship that they're needing and that they possibly may have been missing because from prior leaders. As a leader, I help to transform those personal values, understanding that we are all geared towards one objective goal, and that's to make sure that our tribal students and our citizens are being afforded every opportunity that's available. I like to think that I can see myself as a transformational leader as well as a servant leader. I believe that we can promote our staff when job duties are being done effectively. And I also believe that as leaders, we need to understand we serve more than just our staff and who we are. We serve our citizens, we serve our students. As I stand here, and as you notice, I was not able to introduce myself within our native language. I could be embarrassed. However, my family, my great-grandparents, they were speakers. My grandparents are speakers, but it's something that they never taught my generation for whatever personal reasons they may have had. I believe that it's truly important that we learn and we begin to implement our native language back into our programs. There's research that shows that when early childhood students are introduced to a second language and can become bilingual, their intellectual development becomes further advanced, and their opportunities within academia are even more advanced because they have that ability to adapt. They have that ability to understand. But also, our language is who we are. This is who we are. And then I ask myself, well, how do we go about teaching our students our language? How do we know who our fluent speakers are? How do we go about finding out who they are? We need to generate a database that says, these are the list of those that we need to reach out to. They have lives, they have stories, they have their testimonies that need to be transcribed, so that way we can take those knowledges and that information and transcribe that into implementing a curriculum into our programs. When I look at the Eufaula dormitories, that would be the perfect spot to start with implementing a language program. We have those students there Monday through Friday. This is where we can get our baseline knowledge and generate our research from to see how it works. Comparing it to the Yuchi Language Project, they offer their students, their young children, 250 hours of community language throughout the summer, 10 weeks, where they're using the language, conversing with the language, and believing in it. That's who they are. They're showing that passion. I truly believe that if we can get back out into our communities and express the importance of some of those things, that we can advance every single one of our departments within this entire nation.
Thank you, Ms. Harjo. Council, do you have any questions for Ms. Harjo? Representative Lowe.
Madam Speaker, good morning, Ms. Harjo. We appreciate you being here. You know, you mentioned the boarding school. Of course, as an alumni of that boarding school, that's pretty much my passion too, as far as educational values go. One thing that I would like to ask is, when we're able to bring our kiddos back to campus, if you were to be confirmed, what would be your vision for moving that boarding school forward?
You know, you have a heart for those dorms. I have a heart for those dorms as well. My mother was a 1981 graduate. She used to catch the bus at Earlsboro from Kanawha. She lived around the Vamusa area, and so she would come and they would transport her to the school. As you look at the school, I think as we see the news and we see more of these stories about our native residential schools and the students and the traumas that they endured, I believe it's time to take a look at that institution and remove that institutionalization feeling from it. They don't need to feel as if they're being institutionalized. They need to feel as if it's a family, it's a cohesive unit there. They need to understand that they are citizens and they are people. And without that younger generation, if we can't show them the steps that it needs to move that dormitory forward, to make the improvements that it needs, to make it more comfortable, I don't think that, they'll never see it and they'll never understand. But I think with all of the media today, it should show us the importance of why we need to truly invest in that. I understand that, these children, they come from homes that aren't as healthy and aren't as happy. So while they're within those walls of that institution or of that dormitory, they need to feel that acceptance. They need to feel that family culture. They need to feel that peace, and they need to feel that acceptance. If we are here to develop them as lifelong learners and productive citizens of society, we have to give them the resources they need, whether it be providing the staff with the resources they need to reach back out to their families, working with the families, stressing to the families that it's important for their responsibilities and their accountabilities to work and collaborate with the staff within that dormitory. It takes a village, right? And so when you're looking at the grant aspect of things, you have to look at it at a holistic approach. Some of these children don't want to go home, but how can we help them transition back into a nurturing environment within their home place when they do leave on the weekends?
Great. Outstanding. Mado Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Lowe. Any other questions, Council? Representative Deere.
Hi, Kayla. Thank you for your interest in this position. You were at Bacone College until last fall, and I assume you started your own consulting program.
Yes, ma'am. I haven't been at Bacone since October of 2020. And then from there, my family and we started our own Harjo Higher Ed Consulting LLC, which started out as a consulting piece to help our students through that matriculation process from the college application. We were pretty much their mom and their dad. A lot of our communities, they don't have the family support to get them through the college process. So that's what we would provide. We would make sure that they had the funding they needed to get to their campus tours, their application fees, if they're needing to retake the ACT. Another portion of that was sitting down and making sure that they understood the eligibility piece of it when it comes to financial literacy. If you're not making the grades academically, you're not going to be successful and you're going to lose your funding. So we're being realistic with them. Our students today, they like to think that they know everything, which I also, at that time, I thought I knew everything as well. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way. But right now, after we had established that LLC, we then went on to establish our 501c3, the Harjo Education Foundation. And within that, we also provide those same services, but with this piece, we also provide scholarship opportunities through outside donors, and then currently in the process of taking grant tutorial classes on how to generate our own grants. That way we can provide more services for our students. We also have emergency hardship programs to where some of our students during the pandemic, most recently with some of them, they're in their unemployment ending, we have established a hardship program to where if they're needing help with their utilities or their housing costs, they can submit an application and we can help offset some of that cost for them.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Deere. Any other discussion? Representative Jennings.
Thank you, Speaker. Ms. Harjo, with your consulting company, have you consulted with any students that attend the College of Muskogee Nation?
At this time, we have not had any students within the Muskogee Nation College over there. A lot of our students that we've been assisting come from Pine Ridge and the Rosebud reservations. We also have quite a few Navajo students that have seeked out our assistance. But since we have started this nonprofit, the way we're trying to go about it is we're waiting for the communities that we have to go out into. We're waiting for them to feel safe for us to use those community community centers, so that way we can host small gatherings and not only just educate them but their families as well. Because I think that if we're going to start breaking the cycle of our students not becoming educated, we have to inform their families as well. And we see a lot of our students being raised by their grandparents, and so a lot of their grandparents do not have the most trustworthy views towards the Western education system. And so we try to find schools that are more tailored to their cultural preferences.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Jenkins. Representative Jones.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Ms. Harjo. If you get confirmed today, will you utilize your consulting firm to help students through higher education?
At this time, we are in the process of actually removing my name from the LLC so that it is solely within my husband's name. And then the nonprofit has already been transferred over into my husband's name, and then the directors. And then our board has already been notified that I will be stepping down so that it is not a conflict of interest in any way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Representative Jones. Representative Lowe.
Madam Speaker, Ms. Harjo, you as a doctoral student, what is your experience in working with our higher education scholarship system right now? Pros and cons, please.
So I started I've been in the higher education program since about 2001. As I said, when I was sitting with Chanina Davis, I've received that funding. At the time, I felt as if the funding was generating and flowing smoothly. As a personal doctoral student, my funding wasn't paid to my institution until after the semester was over. And so they were constantly, are we going to get paid? Do we need to withdraw you from this program? Is there anything else we can do? Would you consider, taking out this loan until the loan posts? That way we can continue to keep you enrolled within the program. Fortunately, I was able to reach out to P.D. Kosher, and his office provided me a letter for a promise to pay so that I could submit that to the institution, because I didn't want to take out student loans. Student loans is a huge piece of what keeps our native students in pre-adulthood debt long before they even receive a degree. I do understand that there are rules and regulations when it comes to financial aid. Federal student aid, they do not like to see students being given their disbursement checks or anything prior to their withdrawal date or their add drop date. Not only does that create accountability for the institution, but I also believe some of that time frame that's allowed within our higher education program creates that comfortability to knowing that our students aren't just taking our money and running back out the door and withdrawing from school. It's my understanding that the fall funding is available towards the end of October. However, I do believe that we can look at and generate and innovate new ways to make sure that the spring semesters are paid within a timely manner versus the fall semester.
Outstanding. If you're confirmed, I'd love to work with you on that. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lowe. Representative Randall.
Ms. Harjo, how would you describe your leadership style?
My leadership style, as I said, it's authentic. I'm realistic. I don't set goals that I know we can achieve. I know people say, reach for the stars, set that goal high. However, you have to be realistic. If you're looking to increase your scholarship foundation by X number of dollars, what has been that trend that gets you there? Not only that, I feel like my open communication, my relatability, and just being a mother allows me to relate to my staff. If you were to ask my previous staff that worked under me, they would tell you I'm passionate. I love them. I care for them. Every single staff that has worked under me, I know their names, I know their husbands, I know their wives, I know their children, I know what athletics they play. Because to me, your workplace is your home. That's your environment. You spend more hours during the week with your constituents than you do your own family at times. So in order for them to feel as if there's that open door, they can come to you, they can vent to you, they can express what their heart truly feels, that's going to build that relationship. Being that empathetic leader, knowing that I have to set my feelings aside to truly hear what my staff has to say. Every staff, their opinion's important. This is a shared piece. No one got anywhere doing it by themselves. We have to collaborate with one another. We have to collaborate with the departments to make sure that each department is moved forward. As a leader, I truly believe that you have to think further into the next step. you're looking at those 3 to 5 year goals. What's your plan to get us 3 to 5 years? Where do you see us? What's our projections? And that's a team effort. That shared governance piece is a big piece of my leadership, as well as making sure that they understand that I care for them as people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Representative Randall. Representative Hicks.
Good morning, Ms. Harjo. I just got a question. I see that on your resume here. By the way, I'd like to commend you on your resume. It's fabulous. It looks great. But I see that you spent many years with Bacone, and then did you leave Bacone to start your consulting firm?
So the relationship with Bacone and I, we separated our ways. One of the reasons why is that, one, I felt as if the institution wasn't moving in the direction that I honestly felt that it needed to be. There are also several pieces that are not able to be disclosed because of a non-disclosure agreement because I was awarded severance payments. But within that, I think it's no secret that Bacone and its transition and the true mission of who they want to be, I pray that that mission continues to move forward. I pray that they continue to hopefully one day gain that tribal college status. But at the same time, when you are dedicating 60, 70 hours of your life to an institution and you're not feeling rewarded, eventually you have to find something that is going to impact who you are as a person and as a leader. And I truly believe that the separation with myself and Bacone College was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Sometimes your unanswered prayers are the best thing. And in my opinion, that has led me to be able to help hundreds of other Native students seek that higher education degree. Even though I'm not with Bacone, I still assist a lot of their students with a lot of the financial needs and the guidance that they do need and the support that they need.
Thank you. Just one more question. If you want to answer or not, it's clearly up to you. Are you rehireable with Bacone?
I'm not sure if I'm rehireable. I didn't ask when we severed our ways, and I do know that as I was receiving that unemployment compensation, in my heart right now, I couldn't tell you if I would want to return at this moment because of the situation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Hicks. Any other discussion? Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Speaker. Hi, Ms. Harjo. I have a question. You had mentioned about the vision that you had for the Eufaula dormitories. What's your relationship, or how do you see Department of Education relating to the public schools? Because I come from Togobuchi District, and I know that there's hardly no presence of Creek Nation, at least in Holdenville anyway.
That's a great question, because as you see, you have our representatives that see that the education department they're not visible within their communities, and they're not visible within the communities in which they need to be present in. Hughes County is a huge piece of some of our Native students, and they need to know that they have that support from the education program here within the nation. In my opinion, if it was up to me, I would designate one person to make sure that they're visiting those campuses at least once a week. Because if we're not present, they don't know who we are. We don't have that opportunity to build that relationship with those students and that faculty and that administration within that district. They need to see that we support their students just as much as they support their students. We've got to go hand in hand. It's not one person is better than the next. We're here to make sure that our Native students, our Creek students within our jurisdiction receive every opportunity that they can. And how do they know what opportunities they have if we're not present and we're not there to present those opportunities to them?
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Marshall. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Sarjo, thank you for your interview. The confirmation will be on the meeting following this one.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, guys.
Next, we have Attorney General updates. Attorney General Roger Wiley, please come forward, please.
Speaker, make a motion to go in executive session.
Motion has been made by
Second.
To make executive session, seconded by Representative Huff.
Mr. Wiley, who would you like to stay?